We touched on the weekend, what we learned from the weekend to kick us off. For me, it was just that, like, I think Liverpool and Arsenal are probably closer than what we thought. I've been on the Liverpool bandwagon a little bit, but despite
But you still thought Arsenal were clear, though, is what you're saying?
Yeah, I think Arsenal had a. I was sort of playing a bit of devil's advocate and like trying to back them, but I think from the performance, like obviously Arsenal, I think they were at their best. Neither were Liverpool. I think there's a fact that fair play. Obviously Arsenal get the point, but I think it's more needs to be said about Liverpool without McAllister, going down with no left back, and then Trent hits the crossbar from the almost unmissable chance. They actually did put up a good result. I know everyone extrapolates and be like, oh, they've drawn 2 in a row, Anfield this, Anfield that. But fair play. I think they took it to Arsenal. We all think Arsenal was the best team currently, and I think Liverpool didn't look far off it considering how many people were missing.
Yeah, so that goes on to mine, and I would say that I'm actually impressed with Liverpool, but I'll say I feel like they've bottled a good opportunity. So from the football,
who should have won the game? I think it's pretty tough to
I don't think you can separate it.
Yeah, I agree.
It doesn't. No, but it doesn't really matter. I think that both games, especially the United game, they should have won. Whether they even though United they didn't have a clear and obvious opportunity, they had a lot of the ball.
They should have won, but you guys played to perfection.
Some crap out. But
it was like the win of the century.
The problem I find with those games is, I think it's when you're gonna go. Not even challenge, because they're still challenging, obviously. But if you're going to win a title, you got to take 4 points from 2 games at home.
Yeah.
That's the biggest problem I find. And you're going to go, they played well, which they actually impressed me in terms of their playing ability.
It was a very good game. Objectively, and for the neutral, 100% great game.
You've got to understand, both of those games were at home. So they go, okay, maybe United is a bit different because they'll go to United probably and still win at Old Trafford. But, they're realistically not going to go to the Emirates and win. Well, I don't think so personally.
No, the odds on would say they won't.
No.
Yeah. Right? So, for them to then challenge an Arsenal, they've got to win at Anfield.
Yeah.
So, the problem I get is they're 2 games at home. If this was a game at home and a game away, I'd go 2 points. That's not too bad. But they're 2 at home. So, they've got to do the opposite legs, still away.
Well, the thing is, the thing I bring to it is, I'm talking about this weekend as well. Last weekend was last weekend. That's what I'm thinking. This weekend... objectively, as this clash between 2 sides.
On a standalone fixture.
I think take last out of it. That was just one of those weeks. You're always gonna have that. City have that. Arsenal yet to have that. Yeah, so that's why they're favourites. They're yet to have that.
But
I just think that for both of the teams after the weekend, and not so much Arsenal, because Arsenal take a point from Anfield. You're not disappointed at all.
Yeah, 100%.
But I think with both of those teams, you've opened up a door for City to be in the Colosseum with a raging bull coming out, attacking the red flag.
Colosseum with the raging bull. That's a nut.
He's going bold. No, I get that whole City thing.
Actually tight, man.
But right now,
so City's a game behind.
I know. But right now, I just look at these 2 because City will come into the conversation in a few weeks' time. We'll be talking about them non-stop. But for the time being, it's Liverpool and it's right now. As it is, just looking at it, forget those were the top 2 teams. We saw them play on the weekend. You make that a sort of cup final feel about it. Liverpool weren't that far away from Arsenal, and the fact that what I'm trying to get is they were missing so much and things didn't quite go their way. Arsenal, I don't want to be one-sided here, but as objective you can look at it, Liverpool were not outplayed. You can maybe fight a case that they maybe deserved 3 points rather than the 1 point more than Arsenal did. So I think that goes to show that there at least is progression. Because we all had them, you guys, I think you had them 5th, I had them 3rd.
No, but I think we're very quick to reassess and reevaluate the situation. I don't think me and Flynn were here going, Liverpool...
I think I had them 3rd.
Yeah, I don't think we were saying they weren't in a challenge. We were just in agreement that what they are doing currently won't stack up for the whole 38 games.
I had them 4th.
So it wasn't that I didn't think they were overachieving on my predictions, Flynn's predictions. That we're in agreement that was the case. But I think it was more the fact that we didn't think they could go toe-to-toe with City the whole 38 games.
Yeah, and
toe-to-toe with Arsenal.
And I still believe we'll see that happen.
Yeah, because...
I still think I think we both agree, we all agree that, Liverpool's best team can match it with the best teams.
But did you guys say that? Because I swear you guys are never open.
They don't have the depth.
I think our revised analysis of the way it was that, Liverpool's best team could match. But our issue was always that we don't think they can do it for 38 games.
I just
That's
can't
why
remember,
that's
I just
why-
can't remember hearing you guys say that you could reckon they could take it to these teams.
But it's not about taking to them
No,
on a
I
one-off
don't- I
basis.
mean, maybe
I
I
don't
do,
think.
yeah.
But
I don't think.
I thought you guys said they couldn't do it to these big teams.
No, I just don't think they can. I just don't think they'll match them with like
I've got
points
that.
going.
I've got
into
that.
one
I've got
season.
that.
I
I've
think
got that
I
part
think
of it.
maybe it was more so it was up in the air.
Yeah.
Whether they could. I don't think I you know, kind of said no. I think it was more so like
maybe
okay,
maybe I
when
did,
you-
and I'm being hypocritical at this moment. But from my understanding, it was more the fact that I was saying, come March, I think there's a gap. I think my main argument was, come March, there's going to be a gap that starts to open up between City and Arsenal, and it kind of again reaffirmed it to me on the weekend, just because I think that drop of points was much more crucial for Liverpool to keep up with the pack
I agree.
than it was for Arsenal. Because
agree.
City's going to come, and I think Arsenal have put in the reinforcements from last year.
Yeah.
They've got a bit of experience from last year. I'm not saying City don't, because they've gone through this before. But I think because City lost those games, sorry, not City, Liverpool lost those games at home.
lost the job, the points at home.
Yeah, dropping the points at home.
It's
They're a lot more vulnerable than Arsenal.
It's a lot. It's very reminiscent of Arsenal a couple of years ago, where we were at the top, and like we there was the inevitability that, you know, because of the lack of depth. And I know this isn't what you're saying. We're just like kind of painting it out, like, you know, because of the lack of depth, it's so vital for them to capitalize, like try and hold that lead for as long as they can, and hope that they can get towards, you know, May, and sort of some of like, you know, the like sort of the rest of the season goes out the window because it's May sort of factor, right? Like, yeah, try and hold that gap for as long as you can. But yeah, I agree, because they've dropped those points now, and the lack of the depth, and the lack of the sort of that, you know, that feeling that they can take it all the way to the end. It feels like a much bigger drop of points for Liverpool than it does for Arsenal, because it feels like we will be there for a much longer we'll be able to maintain it for a much longer period of time.
I don't think you have the ability to fill holes as well. Like, you look at Liverpool.
We don't.
No, you do.
Yeah,
like
100%.
you look at Liverpool. You're saying, but without McAllister, but that's literally it. That's the only play they're getting back for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
You get Robertson back at left back, and you have a left back, your actual backup left back go down.
Robbo.
So you're
Okay,
playing,
Robbo as well,
so you're
yeah.
playing a full
But
back.
I don't think there's that much.
You're
of a
playing a
difference
centre-back as a
between
full
Robbo
back.
and-
Yeah, it's not the
I don't
Robbo
think-
of old, but it's still the
But-
Robbo
but-
Premier League
it's just
experience.
that,
Like, it's still.
like when you talk about it, we talk about in the game day, like Jota's missing. There's one of your
Was Jota
forward
have started
players.
though?
We're talking about how poor Gakpo's been up front, and Nunez.
Well,
Nathan sat here
Yeah, I
and
know,
said
but
Nunez is
I'm not talking about like.
But I'm just giving you the raw
Nunez
hard.
is their starting striker.
Yeah,
I'm
starting
just giving
striker,
you the raw hard, like, which Liverpool fans said here in the seat on a Saturday, that he'd have Jota up front ahead of those two. So you have one there, you have a left back, you have a centre mid, who I think is their most important for their system they're playing. Like, as much you can say, they're not really missing anyone. Well, who is Arsenal missing? Like, other than for Timber on the weekend, who I think would definitely would have played over Zinchenko. That's their full strength
I
squad.
understand that, but if Arsenal get injuries,
we had
they
our
have covers. They have a
Yeah,
lot more.
no, and we had our full strength squad, but it's also the fact that, like, yeah, I agree that the drop off, it feels, you know, in Liverpool's injuries is far greater than Arsenal's and City's, and that's the reason why we don't think they'll kick on. But anyway,
That's why I'm giving them credit for the week.
Well,
I think
yeah,
they've done well.
Look,
with the
even
job so far.
speaking,
yeah, it's a fair result. It's a fair result.
even speaking to Liverpool fans, though, and I've been speaking to a few of them recently. Some of them are harder to speak to than others, but a lot of them in agreement that those players that, like, you look at the Harvey Elliott's and stuff that are good off the bench are just terrible when they start as well.
That's
So if
fair.
they-
That's fair.
So when they like,
When there's actually reliant on them.
yeah, when they're reliant on
90
them
minutes.
for 90 minutes, are they really going to come through? Like, maybe they will. Like, they're still young players, but I don't see much depth on there. They've got a bit of forward depth maybe.
The
But
midfield is very vulnerable. Like, the midfield's, you
To be
lose.
fair, they did sub on Gravenberch on the weekend. Like, you know,
And you know what, Endo actually impressed me as well.
But
Like,
again, Endo gets subbed on. I know he's been starting like because
Endo
of,
started.
but-
He's starting,
Yeah, I know, but
yeah.
when Endo plays a lot better when he gets subbed on.
I think what's happened is he's finally getting to grips. I don't want to go too long about it, but I think he's finally getting to grips with the Prem. Because we saw a week ago, he was the worst on the pitch against Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
And on the weekend, like, we were joking about before we went on live on it, you know, Nathan saying the Japanese, like, Busquets, all this stuff. But it wasn't even that
good.
far
No, he
from
was
it.
good.
Like, he
He
was
was good.
into tackles. He got the early yellow, but he was physical presence. And sometimes you need that sort of player just to break the game up or be physical.
No,
because you can't have McAllister and Gravenberch rely on these guys so much. And if he can give you 90 minutes here and there, like the Hendersons and the Milners have done the last
There's
few
going to be an
years.
inconsistency. I reckon from what I've already looked at, he's reminding me a lot of like a Fred who pulls up those big games and plays like a superstar, but he just doesn't have the consistency.
Fred had 5 years. Endo's, we've had, 5 starts? It's a
But
bit,
there's a resemblance there. You guys, some of Fred's appearances were really good, but
Oh, yeah,
I'm saying
world class. Some of them.
world class, but some of them were terrible. And we've already seen that with Endo. You're saying last week that against Crystal Palace, he was the worst player on the pitch, and then he had a better week. But
It's a small sample size.
Yeah, we've seen Bundesliga players not work, right? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
It's a very small sample size. Look, I think, good result, right, for both teams.
I think both teams
like
take
both
it,
teams, you shake hands, you take the point, go
And
back,
Liverpool
move on.
are
Yeah,
more-
move on with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Liverpool probably what's the word?
They're more unhappy or like
they're more
not as
there's a word
content
for
as
it.
not
Probably
as
less from the Arsenal, obviously, Liverpool game, because if you told them they got 4 points out of those 2 games, they would have been happy. It's just more, I'm saying it didn't matter which one they had to, but I think they'd be more disappointed, obviously, with the United game, because that was the game they should have got the 3 points, I would say, more so than against Arsenal. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, on paper, 100%.
Yeah, on paper, but it didn't really matter which one, but I think they had to take 4 points from home. That was just...
Yeah. They'll be, look, come the end of the season, they might be looking back and thinking, that was major points drop. But
It's hard because you can look at the start of the season and say take 2 points and be like, oh, thank you for that. And then,
I mean, even on paper, you probably look at those games like individually and think, a point, we take a point.
Take both of it, yeah. Let's get into a few